first would maybe be justifiable here, if a little weird, but it does look like, yeah, going for the more normal defense first. I like that Legacy just sticking to more conventional Overwatch
I guess when you're talking about the psychological aspect, you need to go and say, what do we have a better chance of? Do we have a better chance of holding the first point, or do we have a better chance of going all the way through to the end and having a huge time bank, right? Because if you can't defend point one that well, and they get 2/3 of the way to the end of the map, you've done a bit, but you haven't done that much, right?
That's why I feel it was weird to do it on Numbani, right? Whereas it's justifiable here. But, I mean, all that aside, it still is equally justifiable to defend first here on Hanamura. So we've got to see how it plays out. Wuvo.
Well, straight away.
That's interesting as well. Just basically getting outflanked there in D field.
I want to see how Slitzel J does end up going here on the Widow as well.
Already looking for the wraparound here is Wuvo. Doesn't quite get the angle on Slitzel J and has given away his position. Didn't quite get the hack off either, I think. But gets a bit of the ult charge while Tainted Minds were waiting for D field to respawn.
Yeah, easy life, easy fun times here. And you grab that EMP, that's potentially another fight lost. Caramel Koala, though, getting free reign all the way up the back. But Slitzel will find a D-Mech. Not going for the Baby D.Va right now. Would much rather find a support there, I think, and potentially even that Soldier. No,
got a little bit close. And now that they've traded back the mech, actually Sculler's been able to re-mech. And actually Tainted Minds, I mean, they were one pick away from actually having a big advantage there. They do close out on Caramel, though, looking to just get the commit in now. And actually this is becoming a rout pretty quickly. Wuvo not having that EMP just quite yet, and unfortunately may not have enough time to get it available. Unless the team does want to maybe reset and come back in, but no, Wuvo going to go ahead and take a dive. They're just going to set up for point B.
Yeah, well, talk about psychological. There you go. Tainted Minds finding the first point very quickly. They had like half a push, not even a half push, like just a little bit. They stuck their nose in, nothing happened. Came back again, found the point, and now they have 6:20 on the clock. And I don't know, the last two times we've had Wuvo now in defense with the Sombra, hasn't really had a chance to make the most of it.
Yeah, well, maybe today's the day. Already looking for the angle, but actually Tainted Minds are a bit too split up for him to really find a good angle in here, so does commit it now as Slitzel J commits to the point and was able to catch Quad J and full medal in that. And funnily enough, those are going to be your first casualties of the fight. And as it happens, Legacy, just kind of off the back of that one EMP, do very much get the hit that they need. So there you go, maybe Wuvo's shaking that one a little bit.
Hey. See ya. Oh, man.
He could have actually got a little bit of extra ult charge for that.
Yeah.
Instead of emoting.
Oh, well. Never mind.
But, I mean, the emoting was far more entertaining.
It was. I enjoyed it more, personally. So look at this. Look at this stack of ultimates now for Legacy. And I just want to see how they decide to use these. Are they going to be forced out here between Godswold, Quad J, and Full Metal?
Yeah, I mean, Tainted Minds are in this really tough position where they've got to actually take a fight where they just look to get ultimate advantage, draw some out from Legacy. But even after that fight, by the next one, Wuvo will have EMP potentially, so it may not matter. But here we go. This is the start that actually Tainted Minds kind of need. Unfortunately, losing Baby Poro, they need to either decide whether they're going to commit a lot of ultimates here or commit none and try and get advantage. And I think they should have gone for the latter, committing the Transcendence there, feeling it's a bit too late. Quad J not going to self-destruct to preserve the mech, and that I do absolutely agree with. But on the whole, Tainted Minds not really gaining ultimate advantage out of that fight, just kind of taking a loss rather for free.
Yeah, well, that was it. As you said, I think they used just one, and really not getting all that much out of it. They sort of fell down pretty quickly, and Legacy managing to hold with relative ease here, I suppose. Oh man, that Sombra's still a pain. And I said before that I felt like maybe Wuvo hadn't had that great a defensive role on Sombra today, but right now that is not the case, at least not since that first point. Point B, faring a little bit better now, and I guess it's much easier when they all stack there in the middle. You can just EMP into the whole crowd. And the EMP is up once again, so let's see if that's the first thing to be used here.
And it looks like Legacy, yeah, go ahead and commit it straight away. Maybe not ideal, but Caramel Koala sort of stuck off to the side here. Commits the tactical visor. Full Metal took a dive there. That's really unfortunate for him. They actually seemed like they'd kind of separated out some members of Legacy, but unfortunately too many members of Tainted Minds once again caught in that ultimate. And now Legacy can just keep doing this thing where they basically rotate between either the EMP or like every other ultimate. Once again, Tainted Mind's in that same position as a moment ago, where they need to really work hard on getting I mean, they've got more ultimates right now, but it's got to be a bigger advantage than this to overcome the respawn advantage.
Yeah, it makes it very difficult. It makes it very difficult. And if you can EMP plus maybe one other ult, that essentially cleans out the fight if you capture the majority of the opposing team. So 3:15 about to be where the clock is. And Wuvo in behind all of them right now, getting a ton of ult charge in the meantime. And Slidsaw J goes down as soon as that Dragon Blade comes out. That's a shame. That is a big shame.
Just big commit now. That's just going to kind of, it's going to kind of be thrown into nothing, unfortunately. Self-destruct by Skull forces these members off, even catches D-Field. I mean, it's just one of those fights where, like, even trades just aren't good enough, you know? That is just the nature of Assault Point B. I mean, it didn't help that it was in some really, like, really extreme situations, like Slidsaw J going down with the Dragon Blade out, but I mean, even then, like, I feel like Tainted Minds, they've either got to be committing way harder than they are, or not committing at all, being prepared to actually pull back when things are going sour, because right now, they are constantly using more than Legacy and getting less.
Yeah, I guess, as you said, that's kind of the nature of trying to play into this point, but the reality is, if you want to win on this map, you need to get past that. And Wuvo with the EMP up already, actually by the end of the last fight, so ready for that EMP bomb potentially to come out here. There's only 3 players over there right now. Instead chooses to translocate just underneath. Why not make them commit? That's the reality. They have to get on the point. You can hold back. You can wait till they're all there, at which point you can use it. Potential here to get this Mercy as well. You can hear the Dragon Blade coming out. Wuvo actually now will go down. Slidsaw J, here's your chance to shine. I mean, but a little bit difficult. It's reality. I say chance, but it was like a triple axle backflip off a whatever onto a. It was
a chance, but it was like a snowball's chance from hell kind of chance. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, again, I've kind of got to go back to this. Like, Tainted Minds, I feel are mismanaging some of their resources here. Like, that's not a time to commit a Dragon Blade, unfortunately. Even if you get a 6K, you don't have anyone else to back you up on it. You're going to be alone on that point when all those members respawn. Like, at best, you're going to get a third, maybe 2. Like, that's not the kind of fight you should be looking here as Tainted Minds.
EMP ready once again. It's almost perpetually ready, and this should see them all go down. Very difficult now, particularly when that Winston tries to get up there on top of you. And, well, Cinderella actually does go down, and that Slidsaw getting the better of him. But the reality is, Tainted Minds, one by one, will get picked up, and Baby Pora still in a pretty bad spot there. And that does not help Tainted at all.
And, I mean, once again, like, for all the good that was done by Tainted Minds there, I mean, this time around, they didn't actually commit resources, which is good. I'm pleased to see that. But now they're going to be contending with having to dislodge Carroll.
Welcome to 6 minutes ago, guys. That's the real problem, right? Like, this is where we needed to be much, much earlier on in this battle.
And they're not even at, like, a big advantage coming into this final fight now. They will actually get the Primal Rage and Self-Destruct, which kind of tips the balance. But they need to use what they've got very quickly, very decisively. And Legacy are going to try and do the same early on with the Tactical Visor. Defensive ultimates all popped already out of Tainted Minds. And now that they don't have those, they don't have ways of keeping these tanks alive. Full Metal not committing the Primal Rage. Quad J, rather, has to commit the Self-Destruct to preserve the mech. Otherwise, it's all just a waste, but he goes down to the pilot form anyway. Slidsaw J, once again, just unfortunately not quite connecting with that Dragon Blade as would be desired, while Wuvo, final EMP, should just kind of shut the lid on this last one. Indeed, it will as soon as Full Metal is dropped. Overtime vanishing fast, and not even a third on point B. Legacy on their own attack now should be feeling pretty confident.
I think Wuvo actually got the hack out there under Quad J, and that's why we didn't see the self-destruct.
I think you may be correct.
Yeah, so that's quite a crucial play, to be perfectly honest, and targeting, I suspect, the exact right hero. But I don't even think they got... Yeah, there you go, 0%. Not even 1/3 of the point there on B. So this is a really difficult position for Tainted Minds to be here. And if they lose this map, they have, of course, lost the series.
Even a draw is, strictly speaking, a loss for them. So it has to be a win. It has to be a win or bust. And the only way they get that win is by, one way or another, full holding on point A. It's doable. It is very much doable.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's what you want to do. Because it's, man, I know we just saw Legacy do it on defense, but holding all the way through to 0% is quite difficult even at that point.
It is extremely tough, especially on point A. I mean, yeah, it's just the nature of Assault. Like, offense tends to be favored on point A, defense a little bit on point B, just with where the respawns kind of lie. But it's not quite that empirical because there are choke points defenders can use to their advantage. They do get the setup position and all that jazz. So we'll have to see how well Legacy can actually punch through here. And looks like they're going to be running... I'm assuming Skull will just use this to scout, but even if it is sticking to the Hanzo or some form of DPS, it'll be a triple tank. And actually, maybe Legacy wanting to change that up. Maybe they don't want to quite commit to that triple or quad tank death ball.
I wonder if we will see Wuvo on the Pharah as well. Has had a very good run on Pharah so far today. Tainted has really struggled to find any sort of fix. Need to work out their AA strategy because yeah, it's not working. If they were in charge of AA, I think all their towns would have burned down by now.
Can you say bombing of Dresden? It looks like Legacy are actually going to switch back up onto that quad tank. So yeah,
oh, I love it. I'm a big fan of quad tank.
Me too. It's just exciting. It's just big, beefy. It's like a punch. Just a really like a southbound freight train.
And the battles go longer. That's the bit I like, is that normally the lack of DPS on one side plus the HP on the other side sees a huge result. And well, will that Moira get the Coalescence in any sort of time like we've seen time and time again for now? It doesn't even matter. Caramel Koala's found 2. That's both the tanks with Quad J being demeched there. Wuvo finds his 1 as well. And very, very quickly, Legacy roll their tanks onto the point and keep on rolling through. Easy life.
That was so rough as well. There was a really great bio grenade that landed out of Baby Poro there. I think it got like 2, maybe even 3 of Legacy's tanks. And like that's time that Moira can't really be healing these members up. Like that is when they're at their most vulnerable, but unfortunately the follow-up just wasn't quite there. Now they're just looking to roll straight on through. I mean, just kind of strolled past the border guard there in a way, and now they get to commit all those ultimates to Coalescence. And for the side, no way! Tainted Mind's not even on the point. That is gross.
And that was what, 1 ultimate. That was Coalescence. That was all they used.
It wasn't even like the Coalescence did it. Like
no.
It's just that, I mean, I was looking forward to seeing all these things they had banked up finally come out. Like, you know, here's the Grav and here's the Earth Shatter. I agree with you. I love those quad tank fights.
It's like getting the epic hand in Hearthstone and you're 2 turns in and your opponent just concedes.
Right?
You're like, man, I've been waiting all week for that. And you didn't even let me play it. I at least play it out. So
yeah,
never mind.
I mean, let's not pretend that like Tainted Minds like intentionally threw that one away,
but it's still equally disappointing.
It is.
Sometimes.
It is. As far as Legacy
for
concerned.
me anyway, we didn't get to see it. Maybe Legacy were like, ooh,
yeah.
Next game, boys.
Yeah, like you'll take the win. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a little bit disappointing there for Tainted Minds. It kind of feels like the coordination isn't really there for them. We sort of saw that throughout the entire thing, but it was really exacerbated at the end there, where there was actually just no one on the point, and I mean, it's just not good from Tainted Minds.
And it's not like there was nobody on the point because, you know, a few members had died and the timing just wasn't quite there, or like someone was setting up for, you know, a flank or like diving the backline is thinking someone else had it covered. All 6 members had this defensive position that Legacy just kind of walked past, and then suddenly Tainted were like, oh, geez, we're in the wrong spot. There was like
some people up, still on the top. One person was down below. I saw Winston jump onto the top of the pillar, which isn't in the point.
It's just not quick enough, the response. That's all it is.
It's got to be a bit of a bitter pill to swallow there for them going into this final map. Now they know they've lost the series, it's 3-0, but after a loss like that, you know, how are you feeling going into that final map, really?
I mean...
Not great?
Yeah. You're...
Is that the answer?
You're feeling...
Maybe some festivities on Dorado will lighten the mood.
I mean, you gotta hope so, because like I feel like right now you are kind of feeling like your prom date didn't show up, you know? Like you now you're just gonna party hard in Mexico as a single Pringle and hope that it makes up for it.
It's like going to Mexico with Elfishguy. What?
I actually have some.
Thanks, John. Like going to Mexico with Elfishguy and being like, oh, we're going to party hard, and John's like, I'm going to sit in my hotel room.
Yeah,
that's
is this like...
I'm going to watch the local television station and try the in-house
We've never been to Mexico before.
I was going to say, this is sounding weirdly specific. Like, what happened in Mexico, gentlemen?
It's actually more like what happened in Manila.
And if I was going to Mexico, I wouldn't take Sandman with me.
Yeah, I wouldn't take Elfish.
Good.
So there you go.
Good. Good.
I'm glad we've got that settled. What about Dorado?
Well, should I take you to Dorado?
No, I'm talking about the map, Jordan. This is why.
Oh, right. Well, I mean, certainly you take, if you're Tainted Minds, you take Legacy to Dorado here. Whether that pays off for you, though, is a completely different story. And even if it does, they have now suffered that series loss. And you do actually have to say that does put Tainted Minds in the unfortunate situation where I think even the map win here, they may just end up getting ultimately excluded from that top 4. I think this may be the one that tips the balance. I haven't done the math on it, so don't take my word for it, but I think even at a loss, they would have needed like a 3-2 here. So now Tainted Minds just looking to play their best game, at least, you know, show that they've got the stuff.
I'm ready for them to show us that they've got the stuff. Show us what you got. And that's what I've got to say to Tainted Minds, who will start off on attack. And wow, free ride round to the corner.
Yeah, the train just keeps on a-chugging, and no advanced defense here from the side of Legacy, which I think is very interesting. And I think it is because they're running the Sombra here. They're just going to try and slowly chip away at it, looking for a more committed fight later on, ideally via a pick from Carroll Koala.
Yeah, well, that would certainly make life just that little bit easier. Slitzer J on the Pharah here on attack, but Carroll Koala, as we were just talking about, will find a DMAC.
It's something.
It is definitely a thing. Wuvo coming out with a hack, but going to get forced out very, very quickly there by a Winston. Once that right in your face, you're like, oh, where's my translocator?
This is really unfortunate, actually, for Tainted Minds. Losing the mech was actually maybe worse than just losing and like getting a player be headshot, because at least then they respawn, they come back in. Without the Diva, they can't dive, they can't contest Carroll Koala. Gives him more time to maybe get a headshot, gives Wuvo more time to charge up the EMP, and now when Tainted Minds, and again now, just going to delay that even longer. Now by the time Tainted do actually get in here, never mind, let me eat my words. I was going to say there will be an EMP during the fight, but with Wuvo dead, they have to actually wait for him to get back and then charge that up.
Infrasight coming out, but Carroll Koala forced off the point for now, or at least forced off the top of the building. And look at this. That's a couple of really good picks. Both the tanks now gone, with Skull getting DMAC'd and then picked up by D Field. Means they're going to get to push all the way through to point A.
I mean, Legacy had to give that up. I can't blame them for giving that up, because if they had gone for a fight, it probably would have just been a bunch more ult charge for Tainted Minds. But Wuvo dying when he did was a bit of a misstep, unfortunately. I think maybe didn't translocate in time or something went wrong, and then Slitzer J getting some good picks, but now they do have the EMP. Even though they lose Severa, should be able to find an angle in once the self-destruct has sort of been weighted out.
Oh man, almost hitting 1 or 2 shots. Not going to happen though for either, unfortunately, for Slitzer J. Going to drop back around, but overall, not a bad push so far coming out of Tainted Minds. We will see the EMP come out, which means it's time for a battle theoretically. Legacy pushing in. That self-destruct also comes out, forcing them all the way back. And Carroll Koala, there's the icing on the cake. There's the Carroll Koala on the cake, I suppose. I mean, picks up Slitzer J.
I mean, I'd be keen on the caramel, not so much the koala on my cake, but I don't know how you guys do things in Australia, so that was a little unfortunate for Tainted Minds, actually. They got EMP'd and actually didn't lose too many members, and then were able to back off. I mean, you kind of have to when the self-destruct comes out, but they were backing off pretty successfully. Then Slitzer J got headshot. That's unfortunate. And also now going down to Wuvo. Catch on God's World. All these ultimates that they have, but they're just not able to get anywhere because they're just getting members picked off here. And another one from Carroll Koala. There you have it. And now we're in this situation where once again, there is going to be an EMP coming into play long before Tainted Minds can really get things underway for themselves. Carroll Koala still not done.
What do you even do about this Widow? What is the play? There's no Pharah anymore. Your Widow, for whatever reason, is not winning these battles. I guess it's hard when half the time your opponent has Infrasight. That definitely makes things more difficult. But what was a great push on to point A is now really slowed down here on point B. Well, this is how you deal with a Carroll Koala on Widow. You try and jump up to the point, but you need to win the fight.
And you need to back out before you die. You got out the Transcendence, but you can't do damage through that when you're just alone. Winston, Full Metal learning that the hard way now. His Legacy have just kind of dealt with the initial dive. They've pulled back into a more defensible position. Losing Wuvo is rough, though. I mean, I talk about that EMP coming into play. No longer going to be a factor. Skull getting DMAC'd a second time now. And actually, Legacy are having to back up, give a lot of space. Tainted Minds should be able to get some payload progress out of this, but they kind of look like they want to bite back. That was a bit of an interesting sort of slingshot forward from Carroll Koala. Don't know if that's quite what he was intending to do, but Tainted Minds finally getting the payload back underway.
Here we go. We're going to get it all the way around the corner. One would suspect potential fight here right up towards the end of point B. 2 minutes on the clock, and you can see that Tainted Minds have actually found themselves a pretty decent defensive position on offense. But Wuvo ready to go with this EMP. But everyone is so spread out. That's what they're scared of right now. They do not want to get picked up here by Wuvo, who ends up picking God's World up.
They had the infra side as well. That should let you anticipate the Sombra, but Wuvo still just kind of being given free reign, unfortunately. And now, Hack doesn't quite connect. The Bunny Blast are going to do the work here, but Tainted Minds, I think they may have just run out of steam here a little. Out of ultimates, and Legacy have kind of dislodged them from what Tainted Minds had set up. Now Legacy can make that same setup themselves. This becomes sort of a kill box that Tainted Minds have to maybe brawl their way through, but I think the respawns here will be enough for Legacy. Yeah, it should be now with Skull kind of rejoining the fray. Has a self-destruct if they do need to sort of zone these members off to start closing out the fight. And this is where respawns really start to come in your favor. Just with that cart position. Transcendence out from Saphira to rejoin the fray. It's looking now like Tainted Minds maybe ought to just reset while they've still got time to do so. And yeah, indeed, that is what those tanks are going to do.
Well, 1 and a bit pushes here potentially from Tainted Minds. Maybe we'll have to wait and see how long they take to make dive number 1. But that is not a great start. Quad J demeched. See you later. And Carroll Koala also ready with this infra site. Between that and Skull's self-destruct, this is a very difficult position for Tainted Minds to get on the site. They almost need to bait all of this out before they can successfully make the push. And well, there you go. This is almost GG, I suspect, on the attack.
It may be. I mean... Carroll Koala. I mean, it may not have been GG when you said that, but like, that 3K later, it almost definitely
I had infra sight of the future, mate, and I could see it coming.
I mean, that's the thing. They didn't even get enough resources out. Tainted Minds also committed a bunch that they really had no need to commit. So many members picked off. Less than 10 seconds now, and Legacy have all the tools here to close it out. Pulse Bomb straight into full metal. He's donezo. Didn't even have a Primal Rage just yet to help at least extend his life. Maybe buy some time for something to happen on the payload. D-Field is the one now buying time for the team. The Valkyrie is there for Strawbella. The ultimates are all available. God's World, once this Transcendence is up, Tainted Minds have really very little to play with. Self-destruct to catch D-Field. Baby Poro just getting pressured out. Quad J getting killed, could not get back in his mech, unfortunately. Full Metal finally able to commit a Primal Rage, but he finds himself alone, just an angry monkey on the point. Gong sounds. That is a defense and a half right at that last point there for Legacy. Good amount of progress, though, for Tainted Minds. Let's give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, it was good. It felt really like Legacy only had 2 points there where they were actually able to defend. One was coming around the corner from point A to point B at the start, and one was coming around the corner from point A to point B at the end, I suppose.
Yeah.
And, I guess you're going to pick 2 spots. They're not too bad.
Certainly, they are the more naturally defensible positions. I almost have to say... And I hope this doesn't get taken the wrong way, but I almost should have expected Legacy to... I kind of expected them to get at least a more solid hold at one of those earlier junctures. But I certainly can't discredit them for not doing so. If anything, we should actually credit Tainted Minds for breaking those defenses in their own right.
Well, it felt like they missed that first... You know, there's sometimes you will see defenses almost at that first corner, and we never got that. They came all the way through, and then I guess if you lose a battle, and then they lost the sort of trickle in onto the point, that's it. Yeah, and also to Legacy's credit, when they sort of got to that point under the archway, they did waste a lot of Tainted Minds' time. Things were actually going really well for them. And then Tainted Minds in their own right, when they broke through that, did so very well. And then beyond that, once again, I've got to credit Legacy for pulling back when it was smart. Rather than just going, oh, we've lost a couple of members, let's just pile in anyway, because, hey, maybe we get a fight win. I liked actually the discipline of just backing off and letting the cap happen and resetting. So I think we actually saw a good amount of fairly disciplined calls out of both sides there. So you do have to just acknowledge that for what it is. The whole thing of not dying is sometimes underrated, right? Like the fact that you went through and I decided that I don't want to die here. Whatever, even if it's like it's 30% chance I get this kill, if you play the odds all the time, then don't do it, come back. I mean, sometimes, discipline truly is not doing it when it's like a 70% chance, right? Oh, wow. That's a great headshot to open things up. Carroll Koala just kind of asserting superiority. Can't help but feel that that's essentially a representation of how this entire best of 4 has gone right now. And not a great day for Slitz or J on this Widow, at least not up against Carroll Koala, who, I guess to be fair, is just playing that little bit better.
That's the thing. He's had some really good ones in his own right. You have to acknowledge that. Hey, look, there you have it.
Yeah.
As I'm saying that. But yeah, it hasn't been as much in the race straight in onto Caramel Koala. He's more than happy to rejoin the fray here. As the two teams actually losing Wuvo. I was about to say they're kind of about even, but yeah, it is looking like Legacy actually just have to kind of take their time with this one for now. Again, I like the discipline to not just press forward and feed ultimate charge, but incredible. Oh, what even?
Man, that was a Widow who had been boosted, who got picked off in one. They're going to push through. Infrasight is now ready as well. And Caramel Koala doing damage across the ground.
Are you serious
it's
right
like,
now?
Oh, geez.
It's like Caramel Koala's like
We're saying like a lot, but I'm thinking of things that I want to say, but then realizing that they're a little bit too mean and then not saying it. The reality is that Caramel Koala has hit a number of very good shots. And if you are up against him right now, life is very difficult.
And I was about to say, like, how much I liked the discipline from Legacy to not sort of press that, and credit where it's due to Tainted Minds for putting them in that position. Whoa, there we go. That's a rare one thrown to Caramel Koala. But, like, at the same time, Caramel Koala is just doing so much work that...
There we go.
There we are.
As soon as Slidsaw J isn't underneath the thumb of Caramel Koala, is able to come out here and show us the gameplay that he's got. But it's just so difficult when you literally have to deal with that other Widow first. That other Widow is the one who's getting the picks.
Yeah, and Strawbella was also opting to stay forward, sort of in the thick of the fight, keeping the tanks topped up, rather than going back and rezzing Caramel Koala. So, like, it wasn't a bad decision by Legacy. Like, don't get me wrong, but you're right. Like, Slidsaw J finally got that free reign, and we saw what he can do with it. Now let's see if he can get even more work done as the fight breaks out.
Self-destruct going to come out here right now. Finds no one. At least they get a mech reset, but not 100% sure if that was it's going to be needed. But Caramel Koala going down from deep field. That's good. And here's the Dragon Blade. Wuvo trying to bring them back into it after losing a couple of players. I don't think that was the best timing. I'm not sure if he just wasn't across to where the rest of the team was at, or, you know, when you're about to hit the button and then things go bad and you still hit it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're just a bit too committed to hitting the button, really, but that was a really unfortunate situation, actually, for Wuvo, because by rights, it was a good time to pull it out, right? The fight was sort of running about even. Some big resources being used from Tainted Minds to not great effect. But actually, Tainted Minds would do scattered for Wuvo to find a wealth of sort of squishy targets to cut to pieces. So he just ended up spending most of that time dashing and jumping around.
Yeah, which is definitely not the most fun you can have with a brand new Dragon Blade, that is for sure. But this is a good start on this battle. Both Quad J and Godsword now down. Baby Pro are going to get cleaned up as well. There comes Full Metal with the Primal Rage, trying to stay alive. But as you can see from the health bar, being unsuccessful in that process, and that means that payload is getting a lot of free run. It's almost like going downhill, essentially. And now Legacy in a very, very good position. Skull here, ready with a self-destruct to try and push everyone out. Wuvo with that Dragon Blade. This time, potentially, if he can get in amongst it, will have much more success.
Oh, Quad J just taking so much the moment he peeks around the corner. Good take onto Strawbella, though. Very important for trying to turn this one back around. But Legacy then certainly not out of this one. And now with that Transcendence being the only resource available, instantly into Wuvo, just looking to get aggressive, trying to find D-Field. One last swing, doesn't quite actually connect, but gets through with the deflect anyway. Slidsaw J, last man standing, and I mean, hey, we all know how Widowmaker standing on the point goes. Unfortunately, a bit too squishy to get into the thick of it. That's going to be the wash from Legacy.
Well, a clean 4-0 coming out for the people who like to have a tree as their logo. And the battle of the two green logos really was what it was. But I was hoping that this was going to be a Widowmaker, a Caramel Koala play of the game.
There were so many. I mean, just endless.
Make a montage. Someone make
a
montage, please, because there were some sick plays. But end result, Elfishguy, pretty easy if you're a fan there for Legacy Esports. They pick it up.
Yeah, I feel like a bit of a broken record here talking about Caramel Koala, but that's like the second time we've actually seen Legacy playing on Dorado. That's the second time we've seen Caramel Koala absolutely dominating the map on both sides. Yeah, admittedly, he kind of did swap off on the attacking side to Tracer inevitably, but had such a massive impact again and again, and I'm not sure that I'd be particularly keen to be picking Dorado against Legacy after seeing that.
Yeah, and it seemed like it was always happening right when Tainted Minds had actually done exactly what they needed to make Legacy back off and not go for a direct fight. But that's the thing with Widowmaker is like, you're not actually on the payload in the first place. You're like, you're not in the dive or anything. You're not way far forward. So even as your team does have to back off, lest they just die and feed ult charge, you can still be taking shots, right? And if those shots connect, then actually suddenly your team can re-engage.
Yeah, what's happening over there is really only indirectly affecting what you're doing over here.
It just kept happening for Legacy, unfortunately, for Tainted Minds.
Yeah, so very, very tough for them to deal with. But in the end, a 4-0 there for Legacy. They pick up every single map. They're going to be very, very happy with this week so far. Or, I mean, to this point, it's been an 8-0 for them. So really can't complain about that one at all.
No.
I mean, it's like, what's that Joe Walsh line? I can't complain, but sometimes I still do. I mean, I definitely agree with you, but let's also be completely clear. There are things in here that Legacy should actually take a look at least in terms of, you know, the longevity as they now look towards playoffs, which is what they should be looking towards. I said earlier, they're a team that could maybe even be, you know, punching out one of these, like, real favorites to take semis and finals if they can play a good match. Once you're in that knockout stage, it's only how you play that series that matters, and there are things they need to tidy up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's something that we're going to look for them to be doing as they head into playoffs. For now, they're fairly secure in their position there in third place. They just need to kind of cruise on out the rest of contenders and really sort of start to peak themselves as we get into playoffs.
I think for me, a lot of it's about expectations, right? When you come into this tournament, there are teams who have expectations that we should be top 2 at the end of the finals. There are teams who are like, we just want to make it through to playoffs. There are teams that we just want to stay in contenders. But obviously, those things will adapt over time. So if your Legacy, maybe before it was like, oh, we just want to make top 4. Now we're playing pretty well. Hang on, maybe we want to make it through to LAN finals. It's not just about making playoffs. It's about, do we need to be third? Because we really want to verse second. Like that sort of thing. There's a lot more to think of than just, oh, let's go okay.
And that's the thing, like, especially when you're in week 3 and you're actually kind of already achieving that goal of, hey, let's finish top 4 in our group, that is when you can start, all right, now let's look to maybe finish top 4 in playoffs, because they do also have a couple more weeks still of regular season to address those mistakes before they're even hitting playoffs themselves. They've actually got time here, you know, matchups notwithstanding, to start, you know, changing the scope of their goals, like you were just saying.
Okay.